Hi everyone, welcome to this exciting new podcast for the third year students in sections B1 and B2. This podcast will be covering the weeks of October 23rd, October 30th, and November 6th. Lots of stuff to get through, so let's get going. I would just like to remind you of my open invitation. If you have any suggestions, tips, advice about staying organized, managing time, balancing work and life, please send that information along to me and you could be featured in a future podcast and become a podcast star. So exciting. So send me any tips that you have. I would also like to give a shout out this podcast to the ECE Lending Library, which is one of the great services that we offer here. And so I am going to let Ralu, one of your fellow ECE students, tell you all about it. Here is Ralu.
Hi, I'm Ralu, and I'm a part of the Lending Library Committee. So I will be opening the Lending Library in the Nutrition Lab, where you can borrow books, you can borrow parachutes, and even some puppets. It will cost $20 for 3 years or $10 for a year membership.
What day will it be open, Ralu?
It will be open during UB on Wednesdays from 12:30 until 2 o'clock.
Thank you. Thanks, Ralu. And since Ralu and I shot that interview, it appears that the Lending Library will be open on some other days as well. So find out about that from Ralu. She'll be glad to tell you all the days and times that it's open. All right, if you have not already done so, get out your calendar, your agenda, your list of assignments, whatever you're using to help yourself stay organized, because we are going to talk assignments, people, and there's quite a few. So here is your basic schedule for the week of October 23rd, and I've got October 30 and a little pumpkin peeking in there. I'll talk about that in a minute, but let's look at the assignments for the week of October 23rd. So on Monday, Diane has asked me to remind you to bring ideas for your science project to her class. That science project ultimately will be worth 20% of your final grade. So that's for Monday. And then another reminder for Monday, she has very mysteriously asked me to remind you to bring winter gloves or mitts to class. She would not tell me why, but please bring your gloves or mitts to class on Monday as well. Also on Monday, October 23rd, you have the reflection on the Nation to Nation presentation that you went to as part of the Social Sciences Festival, and that's for Carmelina's Diverse Populations course. So that reflection is due also on Monday. On Tuesday, you've got your scheduling assignment, schedule assignment, due for Franca's curriculum class, and that is worth 5% of your final grade. Wednesday, very important, is PASS Day. You are going on a field trip, yay, to the Biodome. You are asked to meet here at the college at 9 a.m. I understand from Franca that some of you are planning to meet there. I would really encourage everyone who can to come and meet the group here, because you'll be going on the school bus with the educators and the children from the lab, and that will be a great opportunity to experience that and to see what it's like to ride the school bus, because that's all part of the field trip and a very exciting part for many children. So PASS Day, field trip to the Biodome, meet at the college at 9 a.m. That's it for this week as far as the information that I have. Nothing for the art course, but speaking of the art course, I did capture some video in a recent art class. So here you go. So here we are in the art class. It seems to be play day for the third years. Pamela in particular is enjoying her experience. Play day in the art course. Farah is pausing to smile at us. These girls have got the props down pat. Some vibrant colors.
Get some things so you can write your name.
Oh, hello there. Here's your schedule for the week of October 30th. And of course, I'm wearing my costume because the 31st is Halloween, October 31st. I am wearing a costume. I will be wearing a costume next Tuesday, and I also encourage all of you to dress up for Halloween on the 31st as well. I promise, if you're wearing a costume, I'll take your photo and you will be featured in the next podcast. All right, but the week of October 31st is not just all candy and trick-or-treating. There's also assignments that week, so let's look at some of those. On Monday, you will have class time in your social studies course with Diane to work on your science project. So please come prepared with all the materials, information that you will need for that on Monday, October 30th. Also on that day, your reflection on article set number 6 for Carmelina's class is due. So that's on Monday, the 30th of October. And on Halloween, while you're wearing your costume, you can also submit your floor plan assignment for Franca's curriculum class. That's worth 5% of your final grade. All right, I'll take off my mustache and my hat, and let's look at the week of November 6th. Also some assignments that week. Sorry, I'm getting my paper. So on Monday, finally, your science project is due for Diane's class, and that is worth a whopping 20% of your final grade. So you should be working away on that as we speak. Also on that day, your reflection on article set number 7 is due for Carmelina's class. You have a field trip planning assignment due in Franca's curriculum design course. That is worth 15% of your final grade. And going on the past day field trip, and as I said before, riding the school bus with the children might really help you do that assignment. And then for the art class, your reading reflection number 2 is due. It is worth 13%, mysterious number there, 13% of your final grade. And also on that day, that will be Thursday the 9th of November, you are going on a mandatory, that means you have to go, field trip to the Museum of Fine Art for Grace's art course, and there will be an assignment connected to that, which is worth 5% of your final grade. All right, that's it as far as the information that I have for assignments for those 3 weeks. Going forward, let's think a little bit more about personalizing these podcasts. Maybe a theme song will help you get in the mood when I introduce these podcasts. So maybe something like this. I know the people in section B1 are very dramatic. Maybe this. And I know the people in section B2 love to party. So anyways, think about a theme song. Let me know what your suggestions are, and I will work that into any future podcasts. Please post your comments on YouTube after you've watched the podcast. Remember that a full transcript for any podcast is available. And of course, as usual, stay tuned for a new announcement, because that will mean that the next podcast is ready to go. That's it. Have a great weekend, everybody. Thanks. Bye.